Michael, thanks very much for joining us this morning. As I said, we're incredibly honored to have you here. Introducing Michael is a fairly easy exercise. We're all well aware of his accomplishments leading FNB and his love for entrepreneurship. Michael stepped down as CEO of FNB in 2013 to pursue that passion for entrepreneurship and is now heading up a private equity business called Montegrade Capital. Michael is the previous head of CEO and the man who guided, head of FNB and the man who guided FNB through the 2008 financial crisis. And as a mentor to a multitude of entrepreneurs, we're fascinated to hear your views on how COVID is impacting South Africa and the economy at large, as well as your insights on how South Africa might come out of and move beyond lockdown. So thank you very much for joining us, and over to you.
Well, thank you very much for that introduction. I'm honored to be speaking to you and to 854 participants as I look at the screen. Can I just get a thumbs up whether you can hear and see me well?
You're only going to see me, I think, Michael. But
let me venture forth on a topic where everyone has become an I couldn't even pronounce the word epidemiologist a month ago. And now it seems we have many, many epidemiologists, and everybody has a view on the crisis and what should really be happening. And of course, it's affected all our lives, and people sit at their homes. They have a lot of time to read and think. So it's fine to come up with opinions. But what I would like to suggest is a great way to think about this and to be right is to follow the advice of Jeff Bezos. He said people who are more often right are people who are willing to change their minds when new facts appear. And I think this is a very good mindset with which to approach the COVID-19 crisis. We may have strong views, but should new facts emerge, we should be prepared to let go of those views and to adopt new views. And I think, this is a great way of saying one can, for example, say the initial lockdown was a great idea. We did it early. It bought us time. But one can also then say that there are costs to a lockdown. It is a blunt instrument, and one should now probably have a bias towards opening it up again, because in an extreme sense, when the economy isn't running and people can't make enough money to put bread on the table, people can also die not only from poverty, but from weaker immune systems and all the other social ills that flow from not having a basic income. So the debate, I think, has been falsely cast as one of saving lives versus the economy, where really at the extremes it's about lives versus lives. So it really is a trade-off that we as a country need to make, is how extreme and how long will this lockdown continue? And my argument basically is that one should have a bias towards letting the economy flourish, opening up businesses, provided that they can show that they can adhere to the appropriate safety standards. What we can't do is just copy and paste from abroad. South Africa is not China. We can't have as extreme a lockdown as they have and pretend that people are responding appropriately, that everybody's just sitting in their flat and not going out. All of us have seen video clips of how people stand in lines to receive handouts. There's no social distancing. We know that somebody living in a township, it's unrealistic to think that 6 people are going to stay in a small little shack all the time. So South Africa is different, and we have to adapt our response appropriately. I'm one of those people who like to see the opportunities in every crisis, and I'm kind of sad that we've lost a lot of those opportunities. For example, if we had allowed e-commerce 50 days earlier, we would have seen a boom in e-commerce like you would see it in the rest of the world. If we had taken more time to explain to people the benefits of wearing masks and washing hands regularly, and had built an infrastructure so that people are able to wash their hands, including in townships, that would have taken society forward as well. So I'm contrasting these measures against the very, very extreme, blunt tools that we've used to date. So don't copy and paste, copy and adapt. We do know that what we've done will cause massive economic damage. I've seen estimates of up to 17% of GDP taken away, up to 7 million jobs lost. That's terrible in a country like South Africa that already had such a high unemployment rate. And we have to worry immensely about a country that is already unequal in terms of its distribution of income and wealth, and now putting this shock on top of it. Once again, that argues why one should have a bias towards changing and opening up. So we shouldn't be wasting a good crisis. We should be taking all those tough decisions. This applies equally to government as it does to business. And for what's going to happen in government, none of these things we know, but it really does seem that we're going to emerge out of this thing with a lot more debt, and that we're either going to have to tighten our belts, let things like SAA go, or we will have to approach an institution like the IMF, which could be very good for South Africa because it would force us to take some of those politically unpopular but economically rational decisions. I'd like to just end by saying, what is my advice to business? What is my advice to people? In the first instance, I strongly advise you to look after yourself. And before you think of anything else, look after your mind and your body, because if you don't look after yourself as a business owner, as an investor, as a leader, as a head of a family, as a family member, you can't look after other people. So really look after yourself. It's free to do exercise, for example. There's some advice that vitamin D is actually one of the key ingredients to stop the coronavirus from developing strongly in your body. So go out there and look after yourself. The second advice I would give is think of first principles. Why do you have a business? Who are your customers? What is the real thing that they see value in you? And based on those first principles, take some of the hard decisions early. Take the bitter medicine up front. Now's a time where you have to dispense with anything that is superfluous, and at the same time, hold on to your good staff and hold on to your good customers. My view is that the next 12 to 18 months is about one thing only in the business world, and that's survival. And it's survival, making sure that you have cash and appropriate cash flow. Forget about IFRS and accounting profits. Just make sure that you survive this period. Of course, there are companies that are anti-fragile and that will do particularly well out of this crisis. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about your stock standard business there. Don't try and maximize profits. Just survive. The upside, of course, if you survive is that if it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger. The companies that are going to survive this crisis are going to emerge with less competition and will do well in the long term. But right now, you just have to survive. In terms of costs, must be no surprise that this is actually a time for cost cutting, getting rid of all superfluous costs and taking certain fixed costs and turn them into variable costs. When it comes to pricing, my general advice on pricing is to actually make it lower, because the target market out there has less disposable income and there's going to be a shift towards value for money. So the final thing is just, this is a time to hold to your great staff. We as business expect them a lot from staff. We expect their commitment. Now's a good time to do whatever you can do in your business to hold on to your good staff. It's probably a terrible time for new people to get employed. But if you do have a job, work hard, hold on to your job. Now's not a time to take chances in the job market. But again, the silver lining is, if you do these things, if you follow first principles, if you make the right hard decisions, if you don't waste a good crisis, if you take your medicine up front, you will emerge stronger out of this crisis.